All right, welcome. ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 13th of December. Good to have you aboard as we march toward week 15 of the NFL season. We complained, we were pissed off, we're mad, we're sad yesterday about the Dolphins' loss on Sunday. Obviously, we're still going to do a ton of Dolphins today, but now we're going to start marching toward this Saturday night. Dolphins at Bills. You got the Heat last night. Panthers tonight. I'm going to the Panther game tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Taking my son, my younger one, Jordan. He's 11. He loves going to the Panther games with me, so we're going tonight. Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets. Panthers lost the Blue Jackets a few weeks ago. The team sucks, but the Panthers, they stink right now too. So the Panthers, they host the Blue Jackets tonight. Looking to snap a little two-game skid here, and your boy is going to be in the house. So I'm looking forward to that. However you're listening to the show today, appreciate you. Got a fun show planned. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeart, whatever it is, make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all the good stuff that the algorithm wants you to do. Because if you do that, the algorithm likes and then they like me and I get all the monies. So make sure you do all of that. Jeremy Piven is going to join the show today. Looking forward to having him on. Jeremy Piven is live this weekend. Thursday night, actually, in Palm Beach Improv. And then this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Dania Improv. I'm going Saturday, Dania Improv. We're going to check him out. Going with my wife. But most importantly, Jeremy Piven is going to stop by the show today. We're looking forward to talk to him. And I've had him on the show once before. I had him in studio one time, actually. But that was years ago. We're not going to talk about that. He's not going to remember this Punim, so we'll keep it moving. But Jeremy Piven's going to join the show coming up. Looking forward to that. It's Tuesday, so we got to do good times and hard times. We'll tell you which NFL fan bases through now week 14 are having good times and which ones are having hard times, all right? So we'll get to that. First, though, I want to mention, so last night, Monday Night Football, my God. The Patriots win a terrible game against the Cardinals, and the Patriots, look, they get back into the playoff picture. They're now 7-6, so they actually jump ahead of the Chargers and the Jets. All three of those teams are 7-6, but the Patriots have the tiebreaker right now, so they are there right behind the Dolphins. That game in Foxborough is shaping up to be a huge one, obviously, in a few weeks. But anyway, Patriots win last night, but the big story was Kyler Murray. Well, second play of the game, Kyler Murray goes down, non-contact injury. Those are the worst. The team, they already told you they fear it's an ACL. The question is going to wind up being how bad, is it ACL or is it everything in the knee? We'll probably find that out today as he's getting an MRI, so all of that will happen. That's the big story. That stinks for the fantasy football owners. You know, last night was likely the last week of your fantasy football regular season. And when I say it stinks for the fantasy football owners who have Kyler Murray, I mean, people like me. That's right. Kyler Murray's been my fantasy football quarterback. Don't be stupid and say, Zaslow's a real person who cares about your fantasy team. You're right. Nobody cares about anybody's fantasy team. But this is reality. I'm just saying, you lose your quarterback going into the playoffs. Sucks for him. Sucks for you if you got him on your fantasy team. Anyway, there you have it. That was the big story from last night. I do want to mention real quick here, and it's going to be tough to transition out of this, but you do need to mention it. Mississippi State head football coach Mike Leach, he passed away. I think he was taken off life support last night. You've been seeing, the information has been vague the last couple of days. He needs your prayers. He's been airlifted, heart condition, some personal health issue. And again, like I said, the details were very vague. And he, like I said, I think he was taken off life support last night. He officially passes away this morning. Mike Leach, 61 years old, one of the most famous characters. Great coach too, but one of the most famous characters in the history of college football. So that's obviously sad news. Mike Leach, Mississippi State head football coach, passes away at 61 years old after what appears to be a heart situation that took place a couple of days ago. So very, very upsetting to hear about that. No easy way to transition. I do want to make note real quick. So last night, had the Heat game, big TV, ZASLOW Mansion family room. had the football on the small TV. Terrible game. I mean, when I had to then transition from the Heat game ending to put the football on the big TV, I was only able to watch so much. I was only able to focus directly on the Monday Night Football for so long. I had to change the game. You had that one sequence where, Patriots defense, fumble recovery, and DeAndre Hopkins holding the ball like a loaf of bread. Hey, be a professional or don't be a professional. But that's not being a professional. Holding the ball like a loaf of bread. Patriots run in for a touchdown. Shortly after that, the Patriots, they get another turnover. And then the very next play, the Cardinals get a turnover and run into the end zone. I can't watch this game anymore. Now, they ended up calling that touchdown back. They said the ball hit the ground, so it was an interception. I had to get out of that game. I couldn't watch it anymore. It was such bad football. Colt McCoy was terrible coming in place for Kyler Murray. Kingsbury is so fired. Everybody knows that. And the Patriots, they are unwatchable. That Mac Jones, I don't know if I've told you yet, but I'm not going to keep these feelings myself anymore. This Mac Jones, he sucks. He sucks. I had to turn that game off. I couldn't watch it anymore. It's terrible, terrible football. So anyway, Monday Night Football last night, the Patriots, they win. They're back in the playoff picture. And here's what your AFC playoff picture looks like. Let's give this a look-see. All right, through 14 weeks, here's what we got. Buffalo, first place 10-3. Kansas City 10-3. Baltimore is third at 9-4. They're kind of biding their time until they can get Lamar Jackson back. And Tennessee hanging on by the hair on their chinny chin chin. 7-6 in that AFC South. They have the fourth spot. They would host a playoff game. All right. Then you have Cincinnati, who's 9-4 in that first wild card spot. Miami 8-5. New England 7-6 via tiebreak. New England has that spot, but the Chargers and Jets are right on their heels. Both those teams are 7-6. It's a three-way tie. New England has the tiebreaker right now. If you're the Dolphins, being in that 4-5 spot is not. You want to avoid number 6 because 6 means you would play right now at Buffalo or at Kansas City in the first round of the playoffs. So you want to avoid. That's 7 spots. You want to avoid that 7 spot. Right now, the Dolphins would be playing at Baltimore. Now, if you want to jump up a spot, you would be rooting for Cincinnati to overtake Baltimore in the division because you own the head-to-head tiebreaker with Baltimore. So you would jump up to 5th. That's a scenario you can look at because then you'd be playing the AFC South winner, which right now is Tennessee. I think you would like that in the playoffs. That would be a favorable matchup. But also right now, and we don't know Lamar Jackson's status, you've already gone up to Baltimore and won that game. Going up to Baltimore, if you had to, you would feel comfortable with that as opposed to going up to Cincinnati. Now, right now, the Dolphins would go up to Baltimore. If Cincinnati and Baltimore flip-flop, if the Bengals wind up winning that division, and maybe you still don't jump up a spot, maybe Baltimore still manages to finish ahead of you, then you're going up to Cincinnati. I'd much rather go up to Baltimore than go up to Cincinnati. I don't take Baltimore serious this year. I don't. I know they're 9-4. It's a game better than the Dolphins. I would rather Baltimore potentially win that division and have to go up and play at Baltimore than have to go up and play at Cincinnati. But conversely, if Cincinnati were to overtake that division, you finish with the same record as Baltimore, you would win the head-to-head, and then you would jump up and you go to the AFC South winner, which right now looks like Tennessee, and that would be the most favorable matchup. So it's an either-or situation. There's not a clear-cut benefit right now, but you do want to avoid dropping down to 7 because that would send you to Buffalo or Kansas City. We know at this point that the Dolphins, the division, that's out of the picture. It is. It's out of the picture. They're not going to catch Buffalo because even if they wind up beating Buffalo this weekend, you're still a game back. Now, you would own the head-to-head tiebreak. That's important. But you're still a game back. That's why this past weekend against the Chargers, the Dolphins lost the division. So I'm not so focused on that anymore. I do think there's an element of, all right, we're pissed off that we can't win the division. But there is an element of, all right, I think the Dolphins are in a pretty good spot. If you would have told the Dolphin fan before the season starts, we would be through week 14 and you would be pissed off that it seems like the division just slipped through the cracks. And it's like, whoa, you're telling me we had a chance to win the division? Buffalo, they're going to own this division, right? The Dolphins, we're going to be fighting for the division. So you think about it that way. If you want to look at a silver lining, the playoffs are still very, very much in the picture. And if you would have said before the season started, hey, Dolphins are going to be they're going to be a shoo-in for the postseason. They're going to be on the road, but they're going to be a playoff to be like, hell yeah, and Mike McDaniel's first year. Now, expectations change. Like, that's what's happened this season. Expectations change. You got Chris Collinsworth on the start of Sunday Night Football talking about Dolphins are a Super Bowl team. Dolphins are a Super Bowl contender. He was on the Dolphins' tip at the start of the game, and he was on Herbert's tip at the end of the game. Let's be honest. I know the Dolphin fan, I like Collinsworth, but I could see the Dolphin fan being aggravated with Chris Collinsworth's performance on that broadcast on Sunday night. He kept telling, I don't get this. He kept telling you, and Herbert was awesome. He was great. But he kept telling you, Herbert just put together the best quarterback performance the entire season. Chris, they scored 23 points. And they weren't exactly up and down the field, all right? Best quarterback performance of the season? Come on. Take it easy, man. Hey, take it easy, man. So, I'm sure the Dolphins was a little bit annoyed with Chris Collinsworth. But nonetheless, that's not the point here. The point is, expectations change in the middle of the season. The Dolphins are not going to win the division. But now, you're focusing on the playoffs, and the Dolphins are right in the thick of this thing. You look at the final 4 games, the AFC games are most important, all right? Because conference record, tiebreak situations, like right now, head-to-head with Cincinnati, you're going to lose that. Head-to-head with New England, you want to make sure you win that. You do have the final game against the Patriots. You can essentially knock them out there. You are going to have a final game against the Jets, so you can make that a 1-1 season tiebreak thing. But right now, the Dolphins are a game up on the Jets. So potentially, you would think that, all right, even though if you beat the Jets that final game of the season, the head-to-head is 1-1. Right now, they're a game up on them. So you would have to figure the Dolphins could definitely finish with a better record, and that scenario is not going to matter. And then, of course, the Chargers right now, if you finish in a head-to-head situation, you're going to lose that. So the AFC games are the most important. And you got at Buffalo, you got at New England, you got Green Bay, you got at the Jets. And I know a lot of people are making a big to-do about the Dolphins had heaters on the sidelines the game against the Chargers. I mean, how cold could it have been there? In the 50s, 60s? And now this weekend, they're going to Buffalo, where it's probably going to be rain and snow. Look, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out about these Dolphins this weekend. That's the truth. You're gonna find out if these are the same old Dolphins this weekend. And we talked about this yesterday, where this Dolphin team, it's reminded me back in the 90s. Every time they have the ball, Marino, I think they're gonna score. I think they're gonna great offense. I think they're gonna win every single weekend now. And I forgot about the part that comes with those Dolphin teams, which was the December collapse. That's right. Every year, right around Hanukkah, and Hanukkah starts in a few days, I believe. Every year, right around Hanukkah, that's also when the Dolphins' December collapse kicks in. I forgot about that part. So we're going to find out this weekend if these are the same old Dolphins. Because the same old Dolphins, they don't win big December games. And they definitely don't win big December games on the road in Buffalo. So we're going to find out this weekend. Is it the same old Dolphins? December collapse, can't win a big game late in the season in Buffalo? Or is this a Dolphin team that could lose back-to-back games in December? The coach can make the adjustments. The quarterback can bounce back after a couple of very poor games. And they could win a monster game in Buffalo against a team that has this game circled on their calendar. We're going to find out. Are these the same old Dolphins? So, we're counting down the days. This is a monster this weekend. Saturday night, 8:15, NFL Network. You know what's something I don't get? I saw a lot of this on social media the last couple of days. People saying, Tua is still my quarterback. If you're out there telling everyone Tua is still your quarterback, let me just be really clear about something right now. You sound like an idiot. Why would anyone have to justify that Tua is still their quarterback? Number one, he's still your quarterback whether you like it or not. I mean, he is the quarterback. He is the quarterback. Tua's still my quarterback. He's been fantastic this year. He's had 2 bad games in a row, that's right. But he's been fantastic this year. It does mean something. And I do think, like, you sound like an idiot trying to defend that Tua's still your quarterback. Can you imagine? So there are people out there, you're saying, who have been on Tua's tip, and rightfully so, like me. You've been on Tua's tip, and now after these last 2 weeks, not your quarterback anymore? That's what people are saying. So you have to defend that he is still your quarterback because there are people saying he's not my quarterback anymore. Dolphins just lost 2 games, not my quarterback anymore. You do realize they're the only 2 games this year where he has started and finished and they lost, right? It's essentially his only 2 losses of the season because the third loss was Cincinnati, left the game early. 2 losses he has this year. You have to defend yourself that he's still your quarterback? You sound like an idiot. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. But for really the first time this season, Mike McDaniel's under some pressure. And I'm not sure Mike McDaniel's done a very good job these last couple weeks. I'm not an X's and O's coach guy. And I love Mike McDaniel. But for the first time really this year, McDaniel's under some pressure. Look, you could be a great coach and have bad games. Eric Spoelstra's a great coach. You can have a bad game. I mean, Eric Spoelstra just a couple games ago, I think it was the Clipper game actually, which the Heat ended up winning, but he was talking about how he screwed that up. It was a bad job at the end of the game. He should have done this, should have done that. Mike McDaniel recently, where at the end of the game against San Francisco, and he told whoever it was, maybe it was Tua, saying, I effed that up. That was my fault. You can be a good coach and have a bad day. You're not always going to have a good day. But for the first time this year, McDaniel is under some pressure. He's got to figure out how to run the ball to help Tua. Because we know it's a copycat league, and the Bills have already watched all that tape that the Chargers defense has put on the field. And if you don't think they're going to do the exact same thing, you're nuts. You're nuts. And by the way, it's not as if the Dolphin offense was killing it that first game against Buffalo. Now, granted, that was week 3, and the Dolphins offense has come a long way since then, although they did score 42 points the week before that against Baltimore, right? But nonetheless, Buffalo's defense did a very good job. Only gave up, 21 points, I think, right? Wasn't that game 21, was the final score 21-19, that game? Yeah. So only 21 points they allowed. And now they see what the Chargers did, and McDaniel, I was surprised. I really thought the second half of the game, and I understand Jeff Wilson got hurt, but Raheem Mostert's no slouch. I really thought the second half of the game, the Dolphins were going to come out, have it figured out. We're going to make the proper adjustments, and they didn't. I would have to assume that Mike McDaniel knows exactly what to do, and they're going to come out looking a lot different this weekend. Because he has done a poor job, McDaniel, these last few weeks, running the ball to help the quarterback out. And right now, when the defense is clogging up the middle, which you know is where Tua wants to go, is screwing up the timing, which you know is the key to what Tua does out there, and they know the Dolphins are not going to run the football. You know, this goes back to the Texan game, too. So it's really 3 weeks in a row. It was really, the Dolphins were up 30, well, they had 30-0 at one point. The Dolphins had 30 points in the first half that game against the Texans. But what was weird was Tua threw the ball like 30 times. They were not running the ball at all. And the Texans' rush defense, horrible. Why aren't they running the football? And then you got the 49er game, also not running the football. And then you got this past week against the Chargers, another terrible rush defensive team. And they're not running the football. Why aren't they running the football? The coach has to figure out how to run the ball to help Tua. And this is the part where it's really straight, where McDaniel hasn't done a good job, I would say, because that's his whole MO, right? That's been his gimmick. That's his thing, right? The running game, the run scheme. And they have not run the ball the last 3 weeks. I don't know if there's another way out of this situation right now with the Dolphins offense other than running the ball effectively to help out your quarterback. I think that's where we're at right now. So We're leading up to Saturday at Buffalo. You can't possibly feel good if you're a Dolphin fan. But we're going to find out. We're going to learn. We're going to find out if this is the same old Dolphins. We're going to find out. How about the Heat last night, by the way? First of all, I got to tell you guys, all right, if you're not feeling so hot right now, you're saying, man, maybe just the Heat win last night's got me all fired up. That may not be the case. Maybe you got a fever. Maybe you ain't feeling so hot. You got to call Doctors on Call 365. Doctors on Call 365, I've told you, South Florida's urgent care. They come to you. I've used Dr. Alon and his team twice in the last 3 weeks. Dr. Alon comes to my house. He'll treat children, adults, elderly, minor illnesses, minor injuries. If you need IV fluids, you need vitamin therapy, tested me for COVID and the flu, tested my son for strep. He'll draw blood. You get it, all right? The whole thing is, you're not feeling so hot right now. You got to make an appointment with your doctor. Like, all right, we can see you next Wednesday. No. I need someone right now. Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. What is it worth to avoid crowded emergency rooms, crowded urgent cares? What is it worth to be seen and treated in the comfort of your home? For me, it's priceless. Doctors on Call 365.com. 7 days a week, you're going to speak to someone right away when you call 786-577-9302. That's 786-577-9302. Take it from your boy, Doctors on Call 365. You can't put a price on this convenience, all right? It's coming right to your home. He's going to take care of you. So the Heat last night, maybe you're feeling a little bit hot, but it's about the Heat, all right? You don't have a fever. You're just happy that the Heat got a win last night. And I'll bet there were people out there, you were thinking of me last night, right? I'll bet you were thinking of me. The Heat win last night, 87-82. That's an old school 90s Eastern Conference game. I bet you were thinking about me, right? You know I love that style. Oh, I was making sweet love in the fourth quarter to that game. That's right. 87-82. Every possession is huge. I don't need every game where the Heat are shooting 39%, but give me a game in the 80s and the 90s every now and then. I love it. Jimmy Butler last night had 20 points. He had 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 8 of 16. Bam Adebayo. Stay hot, player. Bam Adebayo. Awesome again last night. Most of it coming in the first half. 22 points, 17 rebounds. No one else was in double figures. Lowry couldn't hit a shot. Hero couldn't hit a shot. Max Strus was like 2 for 46 from 3. The Heat shot 39% overall. They were just 9 of 34 from 3. It was a 2-point game with about 3 minutes to go. And then Jimmy scores 7 straight. That's right. 2-point game. Buddy Hield hit a long 2 to cut the 4-point lead to 2. And then we come back on the other end. At this point, Jimmy's got just 13 points. He hasn't done a whole lot. Jimmy says, all right, 2-point game, 3.5 to go. Time to get going. 3-point play for Jimmy Butler. Then the Heat get a stop. Very next possession. Jimmy at the basket again gets 2 more. The Heat get a stop. Then on the other end, Jimmy, short mid-range jumper. 7 straight from your boy. The Heat now all of a sudden are up by 9. Timeout Pacers. They got to talk it over. They don't know what the hell to do. And the Heat winds up hanging on, and they win 8. Now, they did their best to give it away. Couple turnovers back-to-back late in that one, but they hang on. They get their, what are we talking, 13th? Yeah, 13th win of the season. Holding on to that 10th spot in the East, that play-in position. But most importantly, the Heat start out this road trip, which I told you, take all 4. Now, there's no reason to believe that they're going to take all 4. None. Take all 4, all right? That's how you get this thing going. That's how you get... Once you're several games under 500, we're talking a third of the way into the season, it's so hard to make up that ground. This is how you do it. Now, you can't look at any of these games and say, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. These are bad teams. The Heat can lose to anyone on any night. They can also beat anyone. They beat Phoenix. They beat Golden State. They beat Boston. The Heat can beat anyone on any given night, too. But they can lose to anyone on any given night. And these are shit teams they're playing on this trip right now. And that's why you got to take advantage of it. So they get the win at Indiana, who is probably the best team that they're seeing on this trip. Indiana's over 500. Nice little surprise team this year. I would love Miles Turner on the Heat, man. Big-time defender. He can stretch the floor a little bit. Just such a big body. Maybe the best shot blocker in the league right now. Averages a couple a game. Not sure if Indiana's going to wind up trading him now because they're having a nice little surprise season. But Miles Turner's been pretty open about it, that he's open to a trade. I don't know what it would take to get him. I didn't think it would take a ton, but now based on how he's playing, how they're playing, I'm sure the price has gone up. I would love Miles Turner next to Bam Adebayo. But anyway, the rest of this trip, Wednesday at Oklahoma City, and then you got at Houston and at San Antonio. Win all 4. That's how you get back to the 500 mark. It would actually put them a game over 500. Win all 4. I love the low-scoring games. Love it. That's my style last night. I know you were thinking about me. All right. So after 14 weeks in the NFL, there's some fan bases that are feeling pretty good. There are some fan bases that aren't feeling so hot. And that means we got to find out which fan bases are going through good times and which are going through hard times, Daddy.
Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell them go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job 30 years. 30 years. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, hey, a computer took your place, Daddy. That's hard time.
Good times, hard times. We'll start out with the NFL fan base. We don't do it Dolphin related. We'll start out with the NFL fan base that is having good times after week 14 in the NFL. And we start things off here with, once again, second week in a row, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions fan is having good times. They are now 6-7. They have won 5 of their last 6 games. They are not a joke. They beat the Minnesota Vikings, actually kicked their ass, and they were favored in that game too. The Lions looking like a respectable team. Now, they're still 2 games back in the loss column of the final playoff spot in the NFC, so it's still a long shot, but they're a fun little team if you're a Detroit Lions fan. So Detroit Lions fan base, they're having good times right now. Number 2, the Carolina Panther fan for the first time making an appearance on good times. The Panthers are now 5-8, which is a terrible record, but they're playing much better, and they're only a game back of the NFC South, which would give them a home playoff game. Carolina Panther fan right now is having good times. And number 1, the team that's having the team's fan base that is having the best times right now through week 14, San Francisco 49er fan. That's right. Back-to-back wins with Brock Purdy as the quarterback. This was technically his first ever start, although that's a bit deceiving to say that. His father was crying in the stands because he's being such a good son, Brock Purdy. They kicked the shit out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The fan base that is having the best times right now, they are looking like a Super Bowl contender, is the San Francisco 49er fan. So number 3, Lions fan. Number 2, Panthers fan. Number 1, 49er fan is having good times. All right, the 3 fan bases that are having hard times, Daddy. Number 3, the Vikings fan. Look at the Vikings. Look, the Vikings are 10-3, but they've lost 2 of their last 3 games. They lost, what was it, 40-3 against the Cowboys. And this past week, they got their ass kicked against the Lions. I don't know if you could be less inspired by a 10-3 team than you are right now with the Minnesota Vikings. Viking fan has to be having all kinds of doubt. He's going through hard times right now. Number 2, Seattle Seahawks fan. Kind of crashing back down to earth. They're 7-6. Their playoff hopes now are in serious jeopardy. They lose at home to the lowly Carolina Panthers. Fun story. Geno Smith, really good story. But the Seahawks fan right now is having hard times, Daddy. And number 1, the number 1 fan base who is going through the hardest times right now, Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. They get smoked 35-7 at San Francisco. You know, a wise man once said, you can't fix old. Come on. Come on. And the Buccaneers, yeah, well, right now they are still in a place where they would be hosting a playoff game. Yeah, the Bucs fan knows how that's going to end up. They're going to host that playoff game, and they're going to get smoked in the wild card round. So, number 3, hard times, Daddy, Vikings fan. Number 2, Seahawks fan. And number 1, the hardest times after Week 14's NFL action, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. That's hard times, Daddy. And that right there is another edition of Good Times and Hard Times. That's right. Whew. There you have it. I already told you guys I'm going to the Panthers game tonight. I'm excited about that. They're playing the Blue Jackets. I imagine Sergei Bobrovsky's in net because Spencer Knight he's been dealing with some type of non-COVID illness, right? So I'd imagine we're getting Bobrovsky again. And against his former team, you got to go Bobrovsky in that spot, right? Even though he lost against them, what was it, a few weeks ago? So if you see your boy out there at the Panther game tonight, you come, you say what's up, and make sure that you subscribe to ZASLOW Show 2.0. Now, also, if you're looking for a place to watch the Dolphins this Saturday night, all right? Dolphins, Bills, it's a huge game. Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. You know that's my spot for Dolphin games. NFL Sunday ticket there as well. But how about every night? Every night, you got live music at the Briny. BrinyPubPompano.com, world's greatest upscale dive bar. Atlantic Boulevard, all the way to the Atlantic, and they're right there on your right side. Don't drive straight into the Atlantic Ocean. You want to park, and then you walk into the Briny, all right? Tonight, for instance, live music starting at 6 p.m. You got Gus Rios. It's live music every single night. And make sure you ask, they got new Mahi Taco Tuesday specials. That's right. On top of it, you know you got the Briny Hour, Monday through, that's happy hour. You know you got the Briny Hour Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m., $1 off Casamigos, Patron, Volley Tequila Seltzers. But again, live music 7 nights a week. And make sure Saturday night you're looking for a place to watch the Dolphins. Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach, at Briny Pub Pompano on social media, BrinyPubPompano.com. That is my spot. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. They got these Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. Yo. And you know I love shepherd's pie. Yeah, that's the good stuff right there.